What's up, everybody? The big day is here, and I'm excited for this French Open. As you come on in, I want to know what you guys are thinking about this French Open. Who are some of your picks out there who you think can win? And we're going to go through 10 players that I think can win the French Open this year. Normally when the French Open comes around, it's like just hand the trophy to Rafa, and we very well may be handing the trophy to Rafa again. But I think this year it's a lot more interesting. I see 10 players that have a legit chance to win. Okay, 10 players that have a legit chance to win. Also, as I go through this, make sure that you make your comments and let me know if you agree with my picks, if you disagree, who we're leaving off the list. Hello, Wing. How are you? So also make sure you come on in and say hello. So this clay court season, more than any other clay court season in a while, although last year was kind of shaky too, Rafa's starting to show a little bit of vulnerability. But then at the end, when he went to Rome, he made his final last stand before the French Open and beat Djokovic in 3 sets and took out Zverev. But for a while, especially when it looked like Denis Shapovalov, who it's a shame he's not playing the French Open this year because I would have given him an outside chance to win. Looked like Rafa was in big trouble because then imagine if he would have lost to Rublev and then Zverev and lost connection. Okay, I guess I'm back. But if we would have lost to then Shapovalov as well, I think a lot of people would have started to think that this could be the end of Rafa. But I think Rafa going in is the favorite. So let's take a look before I bring out my list. Let's take a look at some scores here of what's going on. Some live scores have already happened. And looks like Dominic Thiem is out there. He won the first set. He was up a break in the second set, but now it looks like he's in a dogfight here in the second set to Andahar, who beat Federer when Federer came back in Geneva. Andahar is very, very good on clay. Very, very good on clay. So that's a tough first-round matchup. That's about as tough a first-round matchup as you can have on clay for Dominic Thiem, who has been struggling with his confidence as late. Normally would easily be one of the top picks to challenge Rafa on the clay. This year, it's a little shaky. Gilles Simon is losing to Fucsovics, who's a very, very tough player. Nishikori's at 4-all. Daniel Evans, 25th seed, is in a dogfight and down 2 sets to 1. Let's see who else is going on here. That's about it of note right now as far as the live scores. But what we're going to do is we're going to get into my top 10 list. Ollie Payton says, do you think Roland Garros is a pressure-free tournament for Rafa fans? But 21 carries. There's a lot of pressure. I think every time Rafa is on the clay, all anybody talks about is Rafa and clay. So I think every year, which really shows how amazing the accomplishment is that Rafa's going for number 14 of just the French Open. So I think there's just always a lot of pressure on Rafa, and I just think Rafa's used to it. Although he did play a nervous match. It's probably the first time we really saw him very, very nervous on clay against Zverev, where he lost one time, but then he came back and beat him. So Rafa always is up for challenges. Tom Nordstrom says, Dr. Here, I'm also on the 7-day backhand challenge. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job with the 7-day challenge. I believe Stefanos Tsitsipas is going to make it to the Final Four for sure. That's a good pick. Rafa, always the favorite. Yeah, so that's two for Rafa, 2 for Stefanos. So let's see here. I'm going to go. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to share my screen. So let's go into sharing the screen, and I'm going to go through my top 10, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'll come back occasionally to take a look at what you guys are thinking out there. We're going to go through my top 10 list of players who I think have a legit chance of winning. Okay, so we're sharing the screen. We're going to come here. We're going to go into presentation mode. And we're going to hide this. All right, hide that. Okay, so a really strong player on clay, just super consistent. Didn't really have the greatest clay court season, but I just think he's a very, very tough out on any surface lately. He was beating Djokovic at the U.S. Open. I think Djokovic would have ultimately came back and won that match, but he did take out Djokovic in the first set, and then Djokovic had a tantrum, and ended up getting defaulted at the U.S. Open this year. And I think Busta, he's got all the makings to cause some heartache at the clay court tournament this year. So he's one of my picks. Super consistent, tough player, great competitor. Ultimately, though, he's at number 10 because I don't think he has enough weapons to really do the damage needed to go all the way. But he has a chance. He's on my list of having a chance if things go right for him. Maybe if certain people lose, but he's on my list. Another guy, Berrettini, who is having a great. He was hot at one point, winning a ton of matches. Then he went away, but he made a resurgence on the clay this year. I know he got to the finals. I think he ended up actually winning that tournament. So I think did he win Madrid? Was that Madrid where he got to the finals? Or is that Zverev who beat him? I know he did very, very well on one of the clay court tournaments this year. And so I think Berrettini is very, very good and could do really some damage on clay. Could do a lot of damage on the clay. And he's moves well for a big guy, huge forehand, big serve. Backhand is the weakness, but backhand's pretty good too. So look for him to maybe come up with some upsets. Has an outside chance of winning. But again, people at 10 and 9, they're like my dark horses. One person who we might as well get it out of the way now. One person who's not on my list is Roger Federer. And the reason why is he just hasn't played so long, and he doesn't really even give himself a chance. He's like, the goal is not to win the French Open. I think he's just trying to get a lot of matches in for the grass court. Casper Ruud, I believe it was Casper Ruud and Berrettini played in the finals. Guys, make sure you comment. I forget who won that match, but both played a really, really strong tournament, and I believe they played each other in the finals. Really like Casper Ruud's game. He trains at the Nadal Academy. No, that's not right. Does he train at the Nadal Academy, or is he under Martucolo? Which one? I think he might be at the Nadal Academy. I think he is at the Nadal Academy, Casper Ruud. And he plays kind of like Rafa. He's like a poor man's Rafa. And so take a look at him playing very, very good clay court tennis right now. And so Casper Ruud is on my list. Still a dark horse, but could definitely. You don't want to play that guy in clay. You don't want him to come up on your side of the draw. Okay, now here's a player coming at number 7. I know a lot of people are super excited about is Jannik Sinner. And Sinner, to me, really, really is the first one on my list where he could pull off a Cinderella story. He has every single weapon needed to win, except for the experience of actually holding a Grand Slam title. But he's got a huge serve. His ground strokes are massive. He is playing smarter and smarter. He is a hell of a competitor. He loves to compete. He loves tennis. He seems to fear no one. So I think Jannik Sinner, if he puts it all together, and he's got the firepower to take anyone out. If he goes up there against Nadal, and Nadal is leaving his forehand a little short, he's like the perfect, kind of prototype to take Nadal's high ball that's a little weaker and just punish it down the line, that backhand down the line. He could really, really go all the way. I mean, I would I'd be surprised if he went all the way just because Rafa wins it all the time every year. But he seems like a guy who's going to have his day, and I don't think he has a lot of maturing to do. I think he is really starting to understand the tour and what it takes to win, and I think he's enjoying the process. Uh, for a big guy, he also moves very well. Maybe the movement could be a little better, but as big as he is the movement going to get that much better? I don't know, but I think it's good enough. I think his movement's good enough to win, and he's given Rafa some scares on the clay to where he can get on little stretches and looks like he's unbeatable sometimes when he's on a roll. Okay, Rublev. Number 6 on my list is Rublev. Now, this guy's played a lot of tennis, one of the most match tough players on the tour right now because he's just played so many matches. I think him and Tsitsipas have won the most matches on the tour right now. And so he's doing very, very well and has a big game. For a guy who doesn't look that big when you watch him on TV, he just crushes every ball. He's 100 miles an hour all the time as far as playing his game. I think, that maybe is what is going to hold him back. I think to go 2 weeks in a row, what might hold Rublev back is that it's tough to be playing 100 miles an hour every single point. And, I think he just needs a little more variety in his game. But he's one of those players who took out Rafa on the clay this year. And so that's why I have him at number 6 on my list of top 10 players who have a chance, who could go all the way and win the French Open. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to exit this and come back to you guys and stop sharing my screen for a minute to see some of the comments that we have here. Let's see. If Roger makes it into the quarters, he will consider it a victory. I think so. And I think if he gets to the quarters, I think he's going to play Djokovic. This is the first time in a tournament where Rafa, Djokovic, and Federer are on the same side of the draw. That's kind of interesting. That's a sign maybe of the changing of the guard, that the 3 of them are in the same half of the draw. Berrettini won Serbia and lost in the finals in Madrid. So thank you for that. Yeah, so he won Serbia and then he lost in the finals in Madrid. And who did he lose to? Can you tell me who he lost to? Just let me know that in the comment section below because it is escaping me. But I know Berrettini's had a very good clay court season. Okay, so now let's get into our final 5 players who I think have a shot at going all the way. We're going to present here. And so Rublev, we have at number 6. So let's just go back to our top 10, and then we'll get into the top 5. So again, top 10 players who have a chance of winning the French Open. I'm putting Busta in there. I'm putting Berrettini in there. I'm putting Ruud in there, Jannik Sinner, and Rublev. Let me know what you guys think of this list so far. Is this a solid list? Am I picking the right players in your mind who have a chance to go all the way? All right, number 5, Alexander Zverev. He plays very well on clay. Lots of times he gets a bad rap maybe, but then maybe not. He appears to be very nervous sometimes, where we see his serve go way off. We see him decelerate on his forehand. We see him blow some leads. We see him lose to players that he shouldn't lose to. In press conferences, he's been very open at times over the years of saying he doesn't have much confidence in his game right now. But when you look at the results, he's been closer than most next gens to holding a major title. He has got to the finals of the U.S. Open. He was up 2 sets against Dominic Thiem. I'm sure he wishes he could have that match back. It went 5 sets. Could have gone either way. He has played very well on the clay courts. He had a big win in, I believe, in Mexico against Acapulco. Yeah, they played in Acapulco Tsitsipas, big win when Tsitsipas was red hot. He's beaten Nadal on the clay this year. So I think, and he's got that game, right, where he moves great for a big guy. He's very good at going way back against the fence and then working his way in. His backhand is amazing. Maybe his best shot is his backhand. And so, especially if he does somehow end up against Nadal at some point in the tournament, that high backhand, he could be ripping it down the line, and he has the firepower to take out anybody. He's got the game where when he's on, he takes the racket out of your hand. Serve can be a liability, but it can also be a huge weapon. When his serve is on, with his size and his power, his serve can take the racket out of your hand. His backhand, certainly, he can hit a winner out of nowhere with his backhand, and almost impossible to win cross-court rallies going backhand to backhand with him when he's really playing well. And when his confidence is going, his forehand is also massive. When he loses his confidence, his forehand and his serve can leave. But it seems like he's getting better and better at holding it together. So, really, really watch out for this guy. He's somebody who's been around now for years, who really, when you look at his resume, when you look at his talent, he deserves to hold the trophy. He deserves to have a Grand Slam. Will it happen for him? And will it happen this year? Okay, number 4. And, he's a big wild card. Ordinarily, he'd be a rock solid pick. Dominic Thiem, he loves clay. He's got a game built for clay. He's been to the finals a couple times at the French Open. Him and Nadal had an absolute war for 6 games in one of the French Opens, where it was one of the, and I've heard other players, I think even Patrick McEnroe, got to interview Patrick McEnroe, and he said those first 6 games at the French Open with Nadal versus Thiem, I don't know if you guys remember that. Comment if you do. One of the best 6 games ever played. I know we usually like to think about matches and sets and everything, but those 6 games, go look them up. I mean, they were just epic. And then he just dropped his level a little bit, and then Nadal took over the match. But, he can go toe-to-toe with the best. We know that. He's in a pretty tough match right now. He won the first set. Last I looked, he was up 6-5 in the second set, but he had a break, so he gave up that break. We know he is struggling with his confidence. So a big question mark on him. Ordinarily, I'd put him, I have him at number 4. A lot of times I'd put him at number 2 or 3 to win the tournament. But this year, he's down at number 4 because we just don't know where his headspace is at. And has he played enough on the clay to have enough confidence? When he's playing well, he likes to play a lot of tennis. But after he won the U.S. Open, he said, he kind of felt a little empty inside. And with winning the U.S. Open and feel a little empty, and then kind of the depression of everything that's happened with COVID and just a different way of living, he just didn't like the feeling, and he's been a little down. So, that can certainly affect in a big way how you play tennis. Tennis is just so mental. So we'll see how he goes. The first round is a big test for him. If he can win and get through, he can build a lot of confidence because he knows his first round opponent in Andahar, who beat Federer in Geneva, is a great clay court competitor. And so if you win that match, that could maybe go a long way into building his timing back and his confidence, because he's going to have to hit a lot of balls to beat Andahar. And if he beats him, he knows that he played a high quality match. Okay, number 3. In my mind, the best player on tour week in and week out over the last 6-7 months. He has been so consistent, guys. Winning. He's won the most matches on tour this year. He's been the most hungry. He's been dedicated. He's been so focused. I mean, I've seen him just have so many close matches and being right there and having these heartbreaking points, and he just keeps coming back. He's kept his temper together. He really is hungry. He looks like he's ready. Incredible win against Nadal at the Australian Open to where he went toe-to-toe against Rafa's forehand to his backhand, and not many people can handle that, especially the one-hander. And he was, out dueling Rafa when they would get into that cross-court battle. His backhand more than stood up. His mental toughness more than stood up. He was down 2 sets, came back and beat Rafa in 5 sets. Who can say that? And he's just gone on and on and on to just keep winning. The last clay court tournament he played, he won. So yeah, he beat who did he beat? I think he beat Cam Norrie in the finals. Got to the finals against Rafa in a tournament here. I think it was Barcelona. They had a good match. So an epic match against Novak Djokovic. He was up a set in the break. The rain came. He's really, really poised to go all the way. If you ask him, I'm sure he'd say he's more than ready. He wants it. So he's right there, guys. He's right there. But we know who's in front of him. But again, think about this. They're on the same side of the draw. Boom. Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic and Rafa are going to have to meet before the final. This is scary stuff. This is scary stuff. And Novak starting to get that hungry look back in his eyes, just like in this picture. Ended up playing an extra week of tennis, decided he wanted to play one more tournament, which he won, which I think was a good move. I almost put Novak at number one. For the fact that he's been the hottest player over the last 10 years. He is number one in the world. He won the Australian Open. So the last major that was played, he won that easily, destroying Medvedev, who's not on my list because he hates clay, even though he's a second seed. Medvedev really does not deserve to be the second seed. And it's really not fair in my mind that Rafa, who's won this tournament now 13 times, has got to play Novak before the final. I think that is just ridiculous. Because Medvedev has done nothing on clay, nothing. Hasn't even really put in an effort to do anything. And it's not fair because Djokovic is number one in the world. He's put in a lot of effort. He went and played an extra tournament after. Look at what he did in Rome. It was incredible. He won against Tsitsipas. Then he had to play the Italian, his name is escaping me. But that guy's really good. That guy could have been on my top 10 list. And then the next day he had to go play Nadal and almost beat him. He gave him a 3-set match. So, and then he just decides he's going to go play an extra tournament. So obviously he really, really wants to win. For so many reasons. He's trying to catch up to Roger and Rafa in the Grand Slam count. He knows he's super close. He knows if Nadal wins this, that's another one he's got to catch up. That'll be 21 for Nadal. If he can stop Nadal here, that keeps him at 20, and that gets him to 19. Then they go into the grass, which everybody thinks about Roger when you think about grass, but I'm telling you, Novak Djokovic has been the best grass court player in the world over the last 5 or 6 years. He's the best grass court player in the world, not Roger right now. And then, then the U.S. Open easily could run the table this year. He could easily run the table and win all 4. And if he won all 4 this year and ends up going 20-21, and then you win the Grand Slam, I mean, he this year could go in from being, when you think about the greatest, you're like Roger, Rafa, it's a coin toss. Rafa could win the French, then become the greatest. He could flip this, and this year, you would just have to say if he won 4 in a row and took over the Grand Slam title count, all of a sudden he's the GOAT. So he's super hungry, guys. Otherwise, he wouldn't have played that extra tournament. I almost put him at number 1 because, when he's on his game, he's unbeatable. When he is on his game, he's unbeatable. But one player that is proven to be unbeatable on the clay, the king of clay, you can't take his title away. You just can't. You can't put him at number 2. That's an insult. How can you do that to somebody who's won one major 13 times, going for number 14, And he won 2 titles going into this. Won 2 titles, took out Novak Djokovic. He's taken out Tsitsipas on the clay. He's taken out Zverev. I mean, when you think about all the wins he's had, it was starting to look like a bad clay court season. Now let's really analyze it. Now it's all said and done. He won 2 titles, and he's beaten the best. He's beaten the best. He's taken out Zverev, one of the best clay court players this year. He's taken out Tsitsipas. He's taken out Djokovic. He had that epic match against Shapovalov and held on there. So you got to put Rafa at #1 on the list to do it again, to win number 14. If he does it, he's the GOAT, in my opinion. He'll have 21 Grand Slams. He's the GOAT until someone else comes around and wins 21, 22. So this is a huge tournament for Rafa. Rafa knows it. Rafa knows, even though he's so much better than everybody on clay, he knows that his chances are running low. How many times can he come back and do this? Who knows? I would say 3 or 4 more times max. I wouldn't be surprised if it's this year or next year. And then all of a sudden we see a slip from him. If he went 3 or 4 more years running for the title, that would be really unbelievable. I don't know how he can do it, but I just don't ever discount, take these GOATs out of the conversation. Federer was more hungry and made a statement that he wanted to win the French and he thought he could win the French. I'd put him in the top 10 just for him saying that. He basically said he knows he can't win the French, that he's basically playing for reps right now and to get his game back, and doesn't give himself a chance against Novak Djokovic and Rafa. So if he doesn't give himself a chance, I'm not putting him on the top 10 list. If he just said, hey, I think I can do it, I'm feeling great, I would put him in the top 10. But he that's not his goal. So that's the only reason why he's not in my top 10. But there's my list, guys. I'll just kind of go back again just so you guys can kind of see and let me know what you think of this list. Busta, Berrettini, Ruud, Sinner. I think it's a solid list. Rublev, Zverev, Dominic Thiem. He's maybe the only guy who's very iffy to be in the top 10, but I think you have to put him in there. Tsitsipas, Djokovic, and Rafa. So that's my list. What do you guys think about it? Let me see your comments. I'm going to come back to y'all. I'm going to stop sharing the screen here. Let's see. So you guys have a lot of comments that want to come back. Your thoughts on Djokovic's forehand? I think his forehand doesn't have the venom it used to. I don't know. He looked pretty good last week. Nice list. Zverev's victory totally depends on his first serve percentage. Absolutely agree. Becker said Zverev is a good bet. Betting sites have better odds on Zverev in the third quarter over Dominic Thiem. That's hard to argue with. Thiem is not at his best currently. Totally agree. Thiem will get better as he progresses. Can he progress? That's the big question mark. Stefanos should be number 2 over Djokovic. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, look what Djokovic just did. Djokovic just won a tournament. He got to the finals. How did he get to the finals? He ended up beating Tsitsipas. Djokovic is number 1 in the world. He just won the Australian Open. Why would you take Djokovic and move him down? I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. All big 3 should retire with 20 slams. Well, that's nice. That's nice. You're probably the Roger fan, because I don't think if you're a Djokovic fan, you're asking for Djokovic to retire right now, because he could play another 3 or 4 years easily. And he seems to just be getting better and better. So yeah, I don't think Rafa and Djokovic feel like it's time to retire. Federer, don't want him to ever retire, but it does look like the sun is setting on his career. Be very interesting to see what he can do at the Wimbledon, at the grass. That's going to tell us a lot of where Roger is at physically, mentally, where his skills are at. I don't think the French Open necessarily is going to tell us a lot unless he just plays so incredible where he just surprises us all. Pete, all four Djokovic. That's a Joan. I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. Okay. Let's see how okay, that's good for Dominic Thiem. I'm just looking at the scores, and he did pull out that second set against Andahar. This is a really good win if Dominic Thiem can take out Andahar. Remember, Andahar beat Federer. Federer did not play bad at all in Geneva, guys. Did not play bad at all in that match. A little shanky at the end in the beginning. But in the middle of that match, there was a lot of vintage Federer going on. So, and I've seen some highlights where Andahar did very, very well against Rafa on a clay court, and won the first set. So this is a big time opponent that Dominic Thiem is having to face in the first round. So him winning this match will show us a lot. Will show us a lot. All right, let's see what else you guys have to say, and then I'm going to be leaving. Joke. That was a joke. Okay. All right, guys. Very cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Those are my picks. If you like this and you want to see more of these, definitely subscribe. I will be back with a lot of match reactions. We'll take a look and match previews. So be looking out for match previews and match reactions. Come on in. Again, let me know what you think about this list, whether you're watching it live or on the replay. And yeah, you guys have a great, great day. Thanks so much for watching.